check it out, you got me mesmerized. With your black hair and your fat thighs. Street poetry is my everyday. But yo, I gotta stop when you drop my weight. If I was working at the club, you would not pay. Hey yo, my man Fife Diggy, he got something to say.
Stéphane, we're here in your architectural office, Malka Architecture. But how did it all start?
First of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Here in Paris and in my firm. I started this firm 6 years ago, after working for about 10 years as a freelancer architect for a major architectural firm. I started to develop this firm around new uses in the city, how to inhabit in an alternative way. Mainly that was my aim when I started it, and it still is, about how to reclaim the city and at the same time how to reactivate the spaces that could be urban and that could be indoor too.
You do also interior architecture then?
Yeah.
Because it's not only buildings that you do here, right?
No, and to me it's the same conception. As an architect, I feel like I'm able to do architecture for sure, but design too, furniture, indoor architecture, art installations. To me, when you're an architect, you're like you're have a different point of view and a feeling that can give you access to all of those elements.
Yeah. You also work with materials that you recycle, right?
Yeah, actually we're on the edge of a moment where it's important for everyone to understand that all those manufactured objects that we are overproducing are super bad for the system where we're at. So architecture can be a way to recycle them for good. For example, when you come to think about it, a bottle of water that you take 5 minutes to drink, it's going to last much longer than your life and your children's life.
Yeah.
So those elements you can really recycle them and create whatever shelter, event stuff, furniture design, and so those are a pretty strong source of my work.
When did you get the architectural virus?
The virus came along when I was very small, but actually it's interesting because I didn't thought that the city was so chaotic that I never thought that there would be people that would design this chaos.
Yeah. Is it then your goal to create rest in this chaos, or?
Yeah, I think there's many pockets in this chaos that can be developed, and that can be a nest of different activities that are not bound to be there or naturally not bound to be there.
You also made a book about your vision on architecture, right?
Yeah, it's called Le Petit Paris, and it's a book that is mostly about how to inhabit Paris and how to create fast, cheap, spontaneous architecture to upgrade the living of the everyday living with the citizen.
If you really have to choose, what is your favorite project?
Well, it's a hard question, but I think that what I appreciate about the project is the experience that it brings. There's this Ajax project, for example, that is something that we've done lately. It's about offices and how to rethink how to work today, because we work nomadly with laptops, so we don't need anymore to have enclosed space. So what we need is some places with moods where you can be contemplative or where you can be immersive. And so in this project, I've stretched the scale. For example, there's this mutant furniture that becomes super big and is 9 meters long, and you can sit on it and work on it, and you can be inside of it, take a nap. There's a little bar inside of it. So it's a fusion of different uses inside one. And at the same time, when you look at the traditional spaces that are done for work, you just have different moods done with colors, light, where you can be by yourself but still in an open space, but not with this coldness that the random
the usual office has,
open space can bring with glass and everything.
Grégoire, you do the programming here in Le Petit Club, but what is Le Petit Club exactly?
Le Petit Club is a place which is part of a bigger club, obviously, called Favela Chic, which is a club that was created in the late 90s in Paris, which was first a Brazilian restaurant and club and everything, but now it's not much Brazilian anymore, in a music way, of course. The food is still a little Brazilian. And the Petit Club, which means small club, is a part of this place. Okay, we created this place because it's always packed over there and it's always like a big party time and everything. And we wanted a place, as we grow up, we wanted a place to relax that looks a lot more like us. Where you can have party as well, but where you can chill, where you can talk, where you can have like good cocktails, premium alcohol and stuff like that. Yeah.
What kind of people do usually come here?
Here we have a big mix of every kind of crew. You know, suburbans, fashion people, artists, rednecks, splendid architects. It's very mixed, so that's the magic about this place.
South Bronx, New York, what do I see? Kids growing up in the community. South Bronx, New York, what do I see? Kids growing up in the community.
Stéphane, you took us to Le Petit Club. Your good friend Grégoire works here, but how did you meet each other?
I've met Grégoire when I first came in Paris in '96 to do my studies. So I didn't want to work as a student in an architectural firm because I knew Paris, but not so well. And I wanted to be linked by the energy of the night. So I've decided for a few months to work in a bar to pay my studies and stuff. So that's how we've met there. And actually, that's how I've reconfigured all the puzzle that is Paris, because you know Paris from places to places, and then you just don't connect the dots, you know. And with Grégoire, we had plenty of nights after work where we were going to some places, to some friends, and then I've understood how the music was working. You know, that was by the time of the French Touch in Paris. So it was a lot of energy going on everywhere. And we fastly became friends almost 20 years ago.
Why is this place so important or special for you?
This place is special in different aspects. First of all, because it's very close to my place, so it's like a natural extension of my own salon. So I can come here and enjoy being with some very good friend of mine, like Grégoire, that is working here. And in the same time, I can be here and listen to live music or DJ set in a cozy chill mode, where you don't have to be around a lot of people. It's just a small place where stuff happens.
And is it also an inspiration for you as an architect, this place?
Music to me is, I really like to see my work as an extension of being like a sampling machine. You know, the music that the machine that they use in electronic, they take some loops from elements from here and from there. And when you twist those elements and you mix them together, then you can, you know, do your own stuff that is made out of a lot of ingredients that are coming from different horizons. That's why I don't believe in the big drawings in architecture. I think all the elements are already there. You can see there's a lot of accumulation inside my work because it's ecological. So you just take one element and you put it on, and you take them off the loop from the industrial object. It's like ready-made in art, but ready-made in architecture.
You also did a project in the desert, but how do you see the ingredients there? Because I would only see sand.
First of all, the approach to the place is not to see the desert as a romantic virgin landscape, because the desert is a plague and it grows, and when it grows it takes people out of their place because they cannot feed their animals and stuff like that, so they'll have to leave. So it's what you see actually is the absence of the stuff. So the work of the green machine that I've proposed for the Venice Biennale was to stop the plague of the desert. So the idea of that actually took care of, maybe we took 10 different techniques and technologies that were already done. And from that, we've created a machine that is a moving city that would come and recreate a new soil, like a moving machine. But actually, the desert is the result. And I'm actually on this project, I came backwards. So I said, okay, exactly. So the desert is the result, and we are going back in time.
Paris is a really classical city. Do you also get inspired by the classical buildings?
For sure, I do. Actually, when you come to think about it, let's try and do a parallel from architecture to a human being. And when you have this regard of being respectful to somebody, you just don't ignore it, because today that's how we do with the building heritage. We just don't want to approach it. The city say you don't touch it and you don't do everything. But when you come to think about it, as a matter of respect, we should embrace it and fulfill their living by extending it on top of it or on the side of it. So I would say that my opinion of respect about patrimonial architecture is to try and extend it and to improve it in some way. You want to embrace it, you want to hug it, you want to be around it, and you want to show your respect to it.
Yeah. And what kind of projects do you make then for Paris?
For example, we're working right now with a series of extensions, which are a vertical extension on top of some buildings.
Yes.
You know, when the buildings are lower from one to another, then you have the right to extend it vertically. So my approach on that is to work on some prefab wood structure. So you don't do nothing on site, you just come and plug it on top of it, or in front or in between the side. That's how I've developed this concept of architectural Kama Sutra, because there's many angles to come at
positions.
Exactly, so you can come in between, in front, on the back, on top, below.
Okay, let's drink to that.
Yeah. Cheers to the Kama Sutra.
To the Kama Sutra, yeah.
I love my city. Marseille. Drink a little pasta, smoke a lot of trees. I love my city. Marseille. I love my city. Marseille. Drink a little pasta, smoke a lot of trees. I love my city. Marseille's best.
We're standing here in front of this impressive graffiti wall, and graffiti is also a thing that drew you to Paris. Why?
First of all, for this graffiti wall, it's very important because it's a Paris motto. Fluch nek mergitur, it means tossed but not sunk. And after the Paris attacks, it's exactly where we want to be. That's how to react and how to carry on with the stuff. And that's what struck me with graffiti, is that the power of reaction and the spontaneity that it brings. And that's where I'm leading my architecture, something that is more spontaneous and that can take care in places of the city where it's already as a blank page.
And besides the variety that Paris gives you for your architecture, what makes it so special?
The connection with the patrimonial heritage is very important and very strong, and that's where I felt that there was this possibility, even though the layering the elements like on top and all the elements that you could add was very natural to me, because when you look at Marseille is the city of layering, where stuff happening and on top people stop and after that they come and they create another layer. But still I felt that in Paris there was a big whole possibility to develop stuff without being straight in a boundary where it's strictly architecture or strictly artists as in to do installation and stuff like that, where stuff could merge.
How did your interest grow in graffiti? Very
simple actually. It's just the will to transform the city with a few spray can and a lot of goodwill. Then it's that's why it struck me, and I felt like, oh, okay, there's a possibility to develop stuff, even though by then it was like super illegal, and now they gave wall. So I felt that there was something we could do.
Do you still feel like you're on a mission now?
Yeah, totally. As an architect, we have a responsibility. And myself, I took it to a social responsibility where I can bring strategy to have a better flexible housing that can be there, super affordable for people to come and kick in, like the Camp 47 project, which is a vertical refugee camp. We've settled it down in a matter of one day, and then people live there for months and left with their own houses.
You're pitiful, you better have
the people running the lives of our society, making up the rules, holding back the schools. A lot of greed, a lot of temptation, proving one thing, we're hell of a nation. Right on for the darkness. Right on, right on.
Stéphane, you brought us here to La Place de la République. Why is this place so special for you?
It's special for a lot of different things. Actually, it's very important now. It's a sad example of how we can be united again in regard to what's happening in Paris. What I really appreciate about this place is the void of it. Is that actually it's the opposite of something built. It's totally unbuilt, so the people can come here and reclaim the space. I mean, République, it's up to us. République is us for us to share. So it's important for me in those places, you know, the whole city gather around one place and try to connect from one to each other. So it's very important, and I've decided to settle my firm close to République because of that, because I need this human connection that is here around us.
Is that an inspiration also for you in the architecture world?
Yeah, I mean, what's linking people together is always an inspiration, because we always forget that architecture is for people and not designed for a human scale, but just for the human being.
Can a void also be an inspiring place for you?
I think there's some void in the city that we should leave untouched.
Yeah.
And it's important that even though you think about uses, it's important that people come and do whatever they feel around it. So yeah, it should be more about how to accept people being here around than how to draw some more and to design some more stuff.
We're here at PNY. Yep. A very nice burger place. What does it mean to you, this place?
Well, it's a place that is nearby mine. So here, as we've been to my extended salon, we're here in my extended kitchen. So I like to come here too because it's chill, and I love the burger, the way they make it. And the place is nice, so it's everything that is here is enough for me to spend a good moment.
Yeah. And how does the future look for you, like work-wise?
We're working on some different projects. So we work on a lot of urban enhancement, housing in Paris. We are now working on 2 offices. Yeah. So as the one you showed, it brought others. And I'm working on my second book with Jonas Friedman, who's like the Pope for mobile architecture. Wow. He's 93 years old, and we are developing new theories together toward a new urbanism.
Is it going to be a sequel to the first book?
Not exactly, even though that Jonas gave me the introduction to the book. Yeah. So it will be still theoretical projects, still another manifesto, food for thought.
Okay.
Bon appétit.
Merci beaucoup. Let's enjoy the food, and thank you for showing us your favorite spots in Paris.
Oh, my pleasure. I hope you liked it.
I loved it. And now let's finish this beast.
Okay.